morning, everybody, to the distinguished panel out here and to all the friends in the audience. We'll just start off once she's able to put on the presentation. So my name is Lokesh and I represent Microsoft. Okay, I just wanted to start off by giving you a snapshot of what's happening in the Indian education scenario. If you look at a couple of things out here, the government is spending a lot of money to ensure that our younger generation is able to reap the benefits of the education that is going into the country. Just FYI, the budget has gone up from the 11th plan, which is about $6 billion, to about $17.3 billion. So it's about a 3x jump in just the kind of funding what has gone in from the 11th to the 12th plan. Big focus on skills, and I think previous speakers also talked about that. Skills is very, very critical now for the country. Two lacunae that exist, and you can see, which are highlighted in red out there. One is, there's a huge shortage of teachers. We are talking about not only in the K-12 sector, but even in the higher ed sector. And the second thing which the industry keeps talking about, that majority of the youth who are getting churned out, practically are, I would say, still inadept. They need to have some more skills, which would, have them more focused, and the industry can recruit them specifically. You need to understand that what education was 10 years back when Dr. Chandrasekhar was talking about specifically when the ICT boot model started. We were, having computer labs in the schools. And now it is slowly transitioning from your basic aspects of labs in the computer rooms to tablets and devices in the hands of the student. And that's where the actual interaction happens specifically. Yes, our students are getting hooked a lot on the web, but the whole idea is that the computer should be more of an engagement device. It's where they argue with each other and then they're able to explore some aspect and come back with a synthesis and analysis of what they have actually done. You need to figure out that the classrooms today, with the sage on the stage or the helicopter or the airplane mode as it is said, is slowly changing. Majority of the classrooms have changed. Now you have digital classrooms out there. But for a classroom to be effective, you need to have students with the 21st century skills. And there are those 6 C's as they're called. Creativity, communication, collaboration, as well as computing. So that is very, very important with them. But you need to also ensure that these students have empathy. They can take up social responsibility. They are able to take decisions on their own. It's very, very critical for them. And to do this, it is, you need to get into this, I would say, psyche of a student today. If you take the typical student, in the morning when he's up at his home, he's probably watching the television or listening to the radio, which is ICT also per se, or he may be using an SMS facility on his phone, or surfing the net, whatever. The only time when he switches off from ICT is when he goes to school or college. But practically the whole day they are, hooked on to some or the other mode of ICT. So as everybody had said, it is important that we also sync up with this generation, the digital generation or the digital natives as they are talked about. To begin with, what we focus on is, why don't you have these students exposed to the basic nuances of digital literacy? This is something that we offer entirely free of cost, and it's available at a site called dsaksharta.in, available in multiple Indian languages. Anybody can go through these 5 modules, and once he graduates from this successfully, he gets a certificate. So that's the first step for digital literacy, which these students can actually go and, accomplish. But if you're looking at what's happening with respect to, in schools, how technology is changing, the first and foremost thing is, you'll see in about 3 to 4 years, a couple of aspects of cloud computing coming in. Now, what exactly is cloud computing? If I have data which I want to port on the net, I would use some kind of infrastructure which would enable my, say, student attendance or marks or content to go up on the cloud, and I can retrieve it on any device which could be there. Devices is another thing which luckily the UP government has gone in with. And I think that's a great step which the state government has undertaken. But you'll also see mobile phone coming in. How many people here have mobiles? Can I have a raise of hands? So practically almost everybody has mobiles. So you'll see if we have mobiles, why can't the students at a later stage when this phones become smartphones, they may practically be using the smartphones in the classroom. This thing, what you see, is a gaming device, but it's not meant ideally for gaming. It is also used for students who face accessibility issues. So if I am a student who is physically challenged, can I have some kind of software which would enable psychomotor skills, my hand to move up and down? The student does not realize that I'm doing 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But there is a physiotherapy which is happening for such students. So that's the kind of advantage what you get. Content. I think a large number of content is being now created online. And if you can, Mr. Jitendra talked about why are teachers not building that content. If you have that content can be shared across the board. How do you assess whether that content has been used? And that's where learning analytics comes into place. And finally, as I had talked earlier, the personalized learning aspect is very, very important, which is one-on-to-one kind of learning. I can create my own modules which the teacher would assign to me, whether I'm a dyslexic kid or I'm a normal kid. So I can go and get all of those done. That's the aspect which we are doing. But to enable these students, it's imperative that you have teachers trained. We run a program in India called Partners in Learning, also known as Project Shiksha in India. And this program has now trained over 7 lakh teachers across the country. But once these teachers are trained, how do you ensure that they get recognized? So we run competitions for these teachers where these teachers get recognized. They get to represent India at zonal forums, regional forums, and international forums. In fact, last year, one of the teachers from Bulandshahr, Mr. Feroz Khan, had represented India at Prague. And that was a great accomplishment for them. But these teachers also need to interact with their peers. How am I teaching photosynthesis in Australia? How is it different from what I'm teaching in India? So I can go ahead and access a platform which is called the Partners in Learning Network, where I have 4 million teachers who are similar to the teachers in India, and they have lesson plans, etc., which are there. So I'm getting, 1 minute to go ahead. I'll just be fast on this. We cover various programs specifically, which are catering to students, vocational students, as well as to faculty for their empowerment. One program like this is called the IT Academy, which enables students and teachers to go through almost about 300 e-learning courses, which ensure that these people get skilled on what the industry requires. And I think that was one of the challenges which was being talked about in the morning, that you have content, you have the resources, but you don't know how to streamline it to get these students, employable. And this enables you to do that. I would, just say that overall education has several components which you can ensure with the right kind of tools and assets and the right kind of training that goes with it. And technology avalanche is coming, which all of us need to be aware of. And if we need further information, I think we can go ahead and have that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.